What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Poker Vlog. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whole 9 yards. Hope you guys are having a great holiday season. Today we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. As you can see, we are out in the wild. It is pretty cold out here, but there is no way I can shoot any audio or really any video stuff as my apartment is under construction. So anyway, in this episode, we're going to look over the biggest hands that I've played in 2020. This is probably the year that I've played the most poker in my life, in the last several years at least. Really got after it pretty hard. Channel's been going great, so that's been really cool. Played some very big hands, so I hope you guys enjoy going back over them. And I know there are plenty of new people that won't have seen these hands before, so let's go ahead and dive on in. Just thought I'd throw this out there before we hop into the hands. We are flying out to Tybee Island, Georgia on January 1st and going to be in Savannah, Georgia / Tybee Island, Georgia for 6 days, I believe. So if anyone knows of a game in Savannah or Tybee Island, I would love to make an appearance. And if you have any information, just hit me up down in the comments. So not too much later, we look down at ace-9 of diamonds from the cutoff, starting this hand off with about 840 after winning that nice pot with aces. We're still playing seven-handed. The action folds to me in the cutoff. I go ahead and make it $15, and the small blind and the big blind both make the call. So we're off to see a flop, which comes down a very good one for us. The flop is queen 9-5 with 2 diamonds. So we flop middle pair with the nut flush draw. Very strong spot to be in. Action checks to me, which I would expect it to do very, very often. I go ahead and bet out $35. And the small blind hits us with a little bit of surprise. He raises it up to 145. Now, this is a player that I've played against a lot in the home games. He's younger, a little bit on the aggressive side, but not too much. I definitely think he could be doing this with a flush draw, or he has check raises as bluffs in his range for sure. So yeah, not really sure what he's going to have here, but I have an amazing hand. He had bet out 145, leaving himself about 250 behind. I decide this is a spot we're just going to go ahead and apply maximum pressure, get the money in. We know we're going to be drawing super live. I shove all in, and we get some bad news when he snap calls. So that means he has to have pretty much a set or some weird 2-pair. I could definitely see him having queen 9 or 9-5 or something like that. Well, the turn comes down, not a diamond, and the river comes down, also a blank. So we flip our hand over, and he shows us pocket 5s for a flopped bottom set. So unfortunately, we can't hold in what was a really big pot. Yeah, I'm not unhappy with how we played it. I think we need to do that almost all the time, especially against this player type. Yeah, too bad we couldn't find a diamond. It sucks, though, to have our stack knocked back down after we were doing so well. Yeah, oh well, on to the next one, I suppose. So this hand is one of the biggest pots that I've played in my entire life and in this game in general. I look down at ace-king of diamonds from the hijack. I'm starting this hand off with about 515. Things are going to get crazy. I opened to 15 from the hijack, so it either gets limped or folded to me. I'm sure there were limps. There had to have been limps. There are always limps. I get 5 callers, so going insanely multi-way to a flop. Flop is one of the best flops I've seen in my entire life. Flop comes down queen jack 10 rainbow with 1 diamond. So I flop the stone cold nuts. I am pumped, trying to figure out how I'm going to make as much money as possible from this. Well, it turns out I'm not going to have to make very many decisions. Under the gun player checks. Under the gun +1 player shoves all in for 180. So instantly I'm like, this is amazing. Things are going to get better. Middle position calls, leaving themselves like 300 or so behind. Then the action folds to me. Of course, with the nuts here, I re-shove all in for about 500 total. She thinks about it for a while and makes the call. So we know we've got the best possible hand. I'm thinking maybe somebody else has ace-king. I'm thinking maybe somebody could have a set here. There could be some weird 2 pairs, like the under the gun +1 player could have 2 pair. So turn comes down the 9 of clubs. So beautiful, we still have the nuts. Feeling great. The river is the queen of diamonds. So pairs the board. A lot of the 2 pair combinations now have a boat. I am distraught. I don't think there's any way that I'm going to win this whole thing. I flip my hand over, and they both had the lower end of the straight. Cannot believe this. Super pumped. Biggest pot I've won maybe ever. $1,200+ pot. We take that one down. We are feeling fantastic. We play for a little while longer. Nothing too crazy happens. No hands cool enough to report. So we're going to go ahead and rack these up and get out of here. So feeling fantastic. Super pumped. Crazy hand. So after failing to get hand footage of the last two hands, I get my phone set back up in time to pick up pocket deuces from the small blind, starting this hand off with about $800 or something like that. Under the gun opens to $10. Hijack, who is a very splashy player, could be playing any two cards, makes the call. And we make the call also off to see a flop. The flop comes down a very interesting one for us. We flop bottom set on King 3 deuce. Under the gun checks. Hijack bets 45. I think it's time for us to go ahead and just put in the call and slow play this one a little bit. We could raise it up. Not really sure. I definitely think this is a spot where we can slow play and try to keep the other player in the hand. Sure enough, it works. We're going 3 ways to the turn, which comes down pretty much a blank. It's the 6 of hearts. So obviously some straights can get there, but we don't really think there are going to be too many straights in here in a raised pot. Not that much 5-4 going to be out there. Under the gun checks. Hijack bets out 100 this time. And I decide it's time to go ahead and put in the raise. We've let enough money be put in here. Time to go for some value. So the question is, what size do you want to go? I elect to fire out $225, as you will see here in just a second. There it is. Under the gun folds, and then the hijack player moves all in. So this is a very weird spot. I don't think we have a whole lot of choice here, guys. I think we pretty much just have to make the call. We do. Ends up, we decide to run it 3 times. He's got 5-4 offsuit. Yeah. So running it 3 times here, hoping we can get some board pairs. Need a little bit of help. This is a massive pot. We are very tilted that this is what's going on. First river runs out clean for him. Second river runs out clean for him. Third river runs out clean for him. So sorry it's a little bit blurry. We're a little bit tilted. Maybe we were shaking. But we lose this one in pretty disappointing fashion. RIP, our nice stack. So a little while later, we look down at the best hand ever created. We look down at 2 red aces from Under the Gun +1. We're playing 7-handed right now. There are a few players away from the table. We're starting this hand off with about $450 in front of us. Under the Gun player opens to $15. Time to load up a 3-bet. I go kind of a bigger size to $65. It folds to the Under the Gun player. And he snap calls, just like insta calls. So this is the young player that got wrecked in that hand against Krusty earlier and was talking about 3-betting ranges. So I think he actually has some idea what kind of hands he should be 3-betting and what kind of hands I'm going to be 3-betting. So not feeling like we need to be worried about like weird off the wall hands here. I think he's going to have like a semi-normal range. The flop comes down King Queen 10 with 2 hearts. So I do have the Ace of Hearts, which is great. Other than that, I think that's a flop that's going to connect with him a lot of the time. He's going to have Ace King. He's going to have Ace Queen. I think there's a decent chance that we can just be like crushing his value range here. He can definitely have Ace Jack sometimes. Probably not a ton of the time. I don't think he's going to be calling a ton of 4-bets with Ace Jack, but he'd probably be calling some. And obviously he can have 10s, but there's no way that he wouldn't be trying to rip it in with Kings or Queens. So I'm not worried about the sets that would have beat me. He checks, so that makes me feel pretty good. I bet out 110, and he shoves all in on us for $300. So that was pretty weird. Not really what I expected to happen. I don't think there's too much I can do here except for make the call, though, given all the thought process that I just gave you guys before. So we make the call. Time to go to a turn, which comes down the Queen of Clubs. So not our favorite card. If he had Ace Queen, he's now beating us. Other than that, it shouldn't be too bad. River comes down the Ace of Spades. So we know we're good now. We flip over our hand and we're good. He mucks. He didn't get upset or seem real weirded out. I had flipped over my aces before. He did not flip over his hand, so I don't know what he had. But the way he reacted didn't make me think that he was ahead at any point in this hand. So pretty sure I got it in against Ace King here. That would definitely be my guess. So we'll definitely take it down. Feeling great about this one. Huge pot. We're running it up. So in one of the more interesting hands of the entire session, Very early on, we look down at ace-jack of hearts from the small blind playing versus a very tight regular who is not somebody that is usually very splashy at all. Middle position player limps. I go ahead and make it 15. The big blind and the middle position player, who's the very tight regular, make the call. So we are off to see a flop, and boy is it a good flop for us. Flop comes down ace of diamonds, 6 of hearts, 5 of hearts. So we are flopping top pair, very good kicker, and the nut flush draw to go along with it. The small blind bets 45. I go ahead and raise it up for very obvious reasons. We are trying to get some money in here right now. We've got a great hand. We smash this flop. We make it $150. The big blind folds, and it is time for a decision from the tight regular who ends up shoving all in. Pretty crazy. Not what I expected him to be doing here. I was looking for a fold most of the time, to be real honest, but I don't think we have too much of a choice here. We have to go ahead and make the call. Pretty crazy spot. We end up deciding to run it twice. He shows us 6-5 of diamonds, so he flopped 2 pair. The first turn is a 7 of diamonds, and the river is the 8 of hearts, so thank God we take down half of it on the first run out. The second turn is clean for him, and the second river is clean for him. So a lot of stress in this hand to just end up eventually chopping things up. We'll definitely take a chop here as opposed to losing on such a crazy flop. Obviously the money's just going to go in, but we chop it up and we're on to the next hand. So this hand is a very interesting one. It's against the player that we've been playing quite a few hands with, the guy that doesn't really like me, which is fine. So I look down at ace queen of diamonds from the button, starting this hand off with about 1600. So we've got a mountain and we're feeling good about it. Action limps to me in the button, so I go ahead and make it 20. My opponent, that isn't necessarily a big fan of me, goes ahead and makes the call from the cutoff, and the big blind also makes the call. Flop comes down ace king 4 with 2 clubs. So pretty okay flop for me. It seems like you would expect people that have ace king to 3-bet a decent amount of the time. Action ends up checking to me. I go ahead and bet 75, and the player who does not like me, the cutoff, shoves all in for 325 total. Now, this is where things get even weirder. He starts acting like a crazy person. He stands up, he's acting super strong, like stands up in his like next to his seat, is holding his cards like up in the air. So I'm halfway thinking he's gonna show me his hand before I act. It was very, very weird. He won't stop talking, holding his cards up off the table. It's really weird. I'm thinking about it because it's a pretty big spot. Like that's a pretty large amount for him to shove all in for. I can't really figure out what I should do here. He's just acting way too like obnoxious and like obnoxiously strong. I don't really know what to do. I end up going ahead and making the call after he calls the clock on me, which is pretty crazy. I did call the clock on him once very long ago, but he had been taking absurdly long with an absurdly simple situation, which I have no problem with people calling the clock on me like at all. You can call the clock on me at any time. It's not going to bother me. I should be making all my decisions in way less than a minute anyway. There's really nothing that should be being thought about for that long. Anyway, I make the call. He does not show us his hand. Turn comes down a jack. River comes down a 10. So we river the nuts. He shows us ace king. So he didn't 3-bet ace king pre-flop. Flops like top 2 on us. Flops us almost dead. I guess good job to him for getting me to put the money in like that. It was a very weird situation. Very excited. I was very happy to get that lucky run out. Props to him though. He handled it really well, much better than I would have. I'm not the best loser in the world. I don't really direct my anger or my frustration at like other players, but I'll get very angry with myself or feel very picked on by the poker gods or whatever. But anyway, we take down a large pot and we are just cruising right along. Well guys, that's all for this episode. Hope you enjoyed looking back at these hands from back in the day. Played some pretty big ones in 2020. It was one of the years that I've played the most poker probably in quite some time, which seems kind of crazy. The channel growth has been amazing. I really appreciate all the support you guys have gotten me. We have a couple very interesting videos coming up. We have a sponsored video from a playing card company, which is going to be pretty cool. I think you guys will really enjoy the new product that they're trying to bring to the poker community. That'll be pretty interesting. So yeah, that'll be coming up in the next couple videos. Appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Really helps to grow the channel, and to subscribe down below. Have a good one. See you next time.